All right, so you've gotten this far here. Footage tracked. If you haven't done it already, just click into blank space and hit S. Set this to the size of your footage. My footage is 960 by 540. So you may need to go to new, type your stuff, give it a name, type your stuff, and then hit OK. Once you have it tracked, and for this one I just used the auto tracker and then adjusted some of my solver mins and maxes in here, so I got it down to 3.79. I solved it, so that's pretty good. And then you're just going to create a camera. Okay. This is other stuff you could do, for this too, if you wanted to. Cool. So there's my camera. Now I can export the camera directly from here if I want to, but it gives me a camera. It doesn't give me any items. Also, I don't really know if this footage is well tracked. I mean, obviously the points move with it, but I don't know if that's, if it's a good track. I can hit tab up here and still look at it. Double click the camera so I can see it. There it is. And you should see basically your scene in these dots. If you go to the camera tracker, you can go to the scene setting somewhere in here. Somewhere there's a spot to adjust that size, but you typically don't need to worry about it. Anyway, oops. There you go. So you can see the camera, you can see it animate. For whatever reason, hitting play does not update the camera. I have to look into that still. But that's pretty much what I did in this move. Is I was facing this way and I turned, walked, and then I faced that way. So it's pretty close to what I did. So I can assume that it's a pretty good track, but just to double check it even more, after the camera tracker here, I'm going to add a model builder. And all you have to do is you just set up, this is the source, so it brings in your tracker. This is the camera, so you click it to the camera. And it's pretty sweet in how it sets it up, because you just create shapes. So when I'm in the model builder, there it is. Make sure I'm clicked on it and I see the icons here. I can go here to create these basic things. So I can just create a point if I want to, or a card, or whatever. So if I go to create a card, I just click and drag on a piece of geometry, or a piece of footage. So I just click and drag, roughly size it up. Okay, you want to do something that's in the foreground. If you do something back here, it's going to get clipped by this box when the camera turns. You don't have a box in yours probably, but whatever. Then you just adjust the points. So same thing that After Effects would have, where you can move these things, or Mocha has, where you can line it up. Okay, so I'm doing a corner pin. And you can change this zoom here. So I can make it by 8. And really get, fine detail in there. Okay, so I went to a good frame where I could see where this is set up. I put my first keyframe here. Then I'm going to go back to like 500, and you'll see that it's off. So then what I can do is just click and drag, and what I should do is move it in the direction it thinks that shape is moving. Okay, if I were just to have dropped a plane on here, I'd have to basically get it lined up with the rest of the scene. Because I'm using Model Builder, and because it's like picking up that perspective, it automatically will do it. Typically you want 3 points, so I did one over here, and I'll do one more. And if you need to adjust any of the other points, you can adjust them. You shouldn't have to adjust them like a crazy a lot. That may mean you have a bad track. Okay, so what that's doing is basically helping the Nuke figure out where that shape is supposed to be. So now it's pretty perfect. Sweet. All right, so here's our model builder. I can go to selected geometry and then I can bake it. You can also do projections from here and apply textures, which means, like, let's say that I wanted this box to be a different texture. I could make a different texture and then I could replace it with that different texture. So I can make my own cereal box and replace it with that really quick. So that's not this assignment, but whatever. Bake, and now I get this. All right, so now what I actually need, I don't need the camera tracker. I don't need the model builder. I just need this and the camera. These are the two important items that I want to bring into After Effects. So I'm going to put these together inside of a scene, and you just connect and connect. And that's minimal what you need. These two items going to a scene. And then this, I would take this and I would do a right geo. Okay, and on the right geo, you can export it as an FBX. I did that and it didn't. It seemed like it was fine in Maya, but then it wasn't fine inside of After Effects. So I'm not sure why that did that. Something of how it's writing it, I'm sure I'll again have to investigate that, but Alembic files work pretty good. So serial.abc, you have to give it a name here, otherwise it doesn't know what extension you're trying to give it. You could pick it from the list, but it won't actually add the name on there all the time. So the second I typed ABC, it knows this is an Alembic. You can see FBX OBJ. I can export point clouds too. Not really necessary for this because I really only want that shape. And everything else is good. So execute. Okay. So now it's going to cache out all the movement of the camera. Ignore the background. Just caching out the movement of the camera to that Alembic file. Obviously, with 2,000 frames, you're going to be waiting a few seconds. While that's going, a couple things we can set up. We're going to go into Maya with this, and we're going to use the Adobe After Effects Live Link. If you don't have that already installed in your After Effects, you need to close that. You need to go to extensions, and you should see that live link there if it is installed. If not, you'll go to Google, type in live link to Adobe After Effects from Maya, whatever, and you'll find the link. You'll download it, and you'll put it inside of here on your Windows station or there on your Mac station. I actually put mine in my After Effects scripts UI panels, and it shows up in the exact spot I needed to. So, all right, that looks like it's done. Cool. So now I'm going to go to Maya, and I'll bring it in. So I just import. I didn't put it in there. I put it on the desktop. There it is, ABC. And what I should get from here is my card. So there's my piece of geometry. And then I should get my camera. And if you look at the card, that's where it was. And if I look at the camera, it should be doing the same movement that it was doing inside of Nuke. I don't think it was doing that inside Nuke. Let me jump to frame 26. Scene, yes. I close some of these windows. Whenever you have the model builder on, it locks your camera. That's how the model builder works. So I have to turn that off so I can spin around. It like locks you in your camera. Alright, so something happened in the translation. I'll re-export it out, figure that out, why it did that. It obviously shouldn't have. Anyway. So there's my piece of footage. The other thing I can do too, I mean, it's only a couple frames, and it should be pretty obvious if I grab the camera, group, oh no, yeah, it's all limbic. So it's not going to show me any keyframes. All right, well, whatever. I'll figure that out. why it exported. The other one exported fine. If I went to this one, which is the exact same thing, and I exported this scene out right here, it works fine. So I'm not sure what the difference is of why it's not working the same way, same camera. Won't matter for this. All right, now if you want to test it out, you can grab the camera, go to your attribute editor, looking. Go to your environment, go to create image plane, grab your footage, and then you just have to make sure you say use image sequence. Sometimes this breaks inside of Maya. I don't know. It's a fun thing that it does. It should be tied to the frame. So I'm on frame 73. This is frame 73. If not, then you could right click and delete the expression and then just keyframe it manually. So I go to frame 1, set a key at 1, go to frame 621, set a keyframe there. It'll work. All right, so now I go into the camera and I look. Oops, make sure I give enough frames. 621. There we go. Yeah, there was one glitch there, which is obviously odd. But you can see that plane it's locked into right where it should be, right inside of, right where it was inside Nuke. Cool. So these two things work. So what I'm going to do is open up that live link. So it's going to say wait for connection. When I go into After Effects and I open up the live link here, yep, allow that. It creates a bridge between After Effects and Maya, which is super awesome. And then all I have to do is just grab these two items and middle drag them into here. I think it's still thinking. Switch to a different view. Just drag everything in there. There we go. So it really only needs a card in the camera, but the scaling it up to 200, that's fine. You can always resize it. It should have pushed everything already, but if not, I would hit push all. So when I come into After Effects, I should have my camera and my card. Here's my camera, and then there's my card. Now what I can do is if I go to, I mean everything else is the same from here. If I grab my footage and drag it down, you'll probably see that it's a different size. This is reading it at 30 frames a second. Everything else has been 24 frames a second. It's not a huge deal either way. Obviously, if we are doing something for production, we want to make sure that they line up across the board. But for this, we can just reset our frame rate on the serial to 24, and then stretch that out. Okay. Now you'll see that this comes in not where it was before. So before it was like lined up perfectly with the box, and now it's right here. What it does is it's not using the center of the box, it's using the corner of the box as where it should be. So if I need to offset it, I can hit A for anchor point, and then I can scoot that over and scoot it up, and it should match up the perspective of it. Again, it's not a huge deal. Oops. But, you know, there it is. Okay. Then I can make a solid. Make it the comp size for now. Make it 3D. Go to my position for this. Go to the position for that. Just going to throw my live link off to the other side. And I just copy position, paste position, and then scale it down. Now once I get it to about here, then I can go to my solid settings and let's say I take the width in. There we go, it's about good. Now I could also go into the rotate and copy the orientation, and now it's oriented the same way. Then when I go back to my solid settings, and then for whatever reason, once we nudged over a little bit, not a big deal, we can nudge it. So it's in the same spot now. So as we move, it's locked to that spot, except for those couple glitchy frames for, again, whatever reason it decided to make glitchy frames. All right, so now it's pretty much the same thing as the other one that we were doing in class. Wherever you wanted an object, you would just go back to your Nuke, and then you would drop that object there. Or once you have that plane set up, you can adjust it. The only issue you're going to have is when you have a plane like that. Like this. You can see it's not on a perfect angle, so it's kind of like tilted a bit. So, I mean, you could definitely do that and adjust it. In the tracker, there are some settings where you could set the ground plane and set your grid and whatever. So for your scene, you can actually grab points and say, oops. Where is my... Oh, right. I click on here. There it is. And then I go to ground plane set to selected, or set to X, or set to Y, or set to Z. You can also grab points inside here. This is another way to do it. And create planes or cards that way. So this is not a shape builder card. This is just a random card, an actual like 3D card. That's at that position. It doesn't match the perspective of it. You can see it's kind of tilted towards the camera a bit. So it's not going to be as accurate as the shape builder one, but definitely, you know, another way to do it. Okay, but then what you would do is you would change stuff here. Make sure whatever you've created, so here's my new card, would then get fed into the scene. I would rewrite out my my geo, so this is my test ABC, that would get written out. Maya, I would come in here, and I would just reload my limbic cache, and then send everything over to After Effects. I can just click that button, and it'll send it over. Now if I have any new cards, I would obviously drop them into there, then resend it, and then After Effects automatically updates all that stuff. It doesn't delete any of the stuff that you've added. It just adds on top of it. Okay, so it's a pretty sweet way to do it. Before we'd have to do it through a huge hurrah of things to get anything to work. Sweet. So, anything else, let me know.